The idea of an Obi-Wan series is an absolute mammoth task, bringing back beloved actors we haven't seen together for over 15 years and needing to create a story that feels justified, that fits into the gap between episodes 3 and 4. The Star Wars fanbase is very fractured, and this was an opportunity to unite the prequel and original fans into a story that honours both. It should have been an epic story telling the aftermath of the tragic tale of Obi-Wan and Anakin. But honestly, I think it fails to do this and fails to justify its own existence. There's certainly cool moments, but Darth Vader says it best.
Kenobi means nothing.
And that's how I feel. This series means nothing. It feels pointless and overall like a gigantic waste of potential. Hello there, and welcome to Cinemaze, and there will be spoilers for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Overall, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a really mixed bag, with some really strong and powerful Star Wars moments, surrounded by a whole lot of fluff, including filler, bad writing, plot conveniences, and wasted opportunity. This series should have felt epic and large scale, the clash between Kenobi and Darth Vader, but it doesn't. It feels small, it feels cheap, it feels made for TV. And that's not right. The sets, the action, the CGI all felt subpar for Star Wars, which is a shame for a story that should feel important. This should have been movie quality because this is a major Star Wars moment for so many fans, but it feels like a side thought in the Star Wars universe. Looking at the episodes, they're pretty mixed. Episode 1 I really liked. It built up where Kenobi was, burnt out, living a monotonous life with a slight bit of hope through Luke Skywalker. It set up this show to be a character study into a broken hero. It introduced Leia as the event for him to leave the planet, which I liked. Why else would he leave his duty on Tatooine? And apart from one bad chase scene, I thought it was pretty solid. Episode 2 began to show the cracks with a lot of filler and again bad chase sequences. Episode 3 improved with the introduction of Vader. But by this stage, Obi-Wan began to feel like he was put on the back burner in his own show. His character wasn't progressing or doing much. Episode 4 was the absolute worst, complete filler that felt like a worse version of the Star Wars Fallen Order game. Episode 5, this was good. Again, some really great Vader stuff and some great flashbacks between Anakin and Obi-Wan. But things felt repetitive. It's now the second time over these episodes that Leia got captured, Obi-Wan rescued her, Vader then shows up, Obi-Wan runs off, and Vader just stands there as they leave. So episode 6 had a lot to do to get me back on board with this show. And it really does well with the Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff. But the other plots taking place, I don't care about. Reva is on this mission to kill Luke, but I just didn't care because I never questioned if she would kill Luke or his family because I know they all survive to A New Hope. And speaking of Reva, she's been subject to much controversy. Firstly, the attacks on the actress are disgusting. No one should get attacked for their race or for playing a character in a show that people don't like. I think the idea behind her character is genuinely really interesting. An inquisitor spy trying to get revenge on Anakin who gets so caught up in her mission she starts to become the person she tried to destroy. That's a fascinating idea, and her performance in episode 6 when she realised she is no better than Vader is fantastic. If there was an Inquisitor show with her as the focus, I think it would work better. She could have been fleshed out more and I would have been more invested. But the problem is, in this show, I don't care. I tune into this series for Kenobi and Vader, and every second spent with Reva is time away from Vader and Kenobi. The show is at war with itself on whether it's a show about Kenobi and Vader or Reva and the Inquisitors, and it doesn't really fully commit to either. I felt like this show was full of plot conveniences and lazy writing. Just some of the ones that stood out to me. Reva and the Grand Inquisitor get stabbed by a lightsaber and survive with no explanation, and both times it was obvious they didn't really die. Vader just stands there twice when Obi-Wan runs away, despite acting like Obi-Wan is a priority. Why didn't he chase them down further? In episode 5, Kenobi and the rebels are trapped in a building and Vader sends Reva down there to kill them despite knowing all along that Reva was against him. If Obi-Wan was such a priority target, why would Vader not go down there himself first to kill everyone instead of sending Reva? And Bail Organa sends a message revealing the biggest secret in the galaxy about Luke hiding on Tatooine, and the message is slightly broken but says just enough to understand. This show is full of this type of writing and it gets frustrating. It makes the show feel less serious and makes it feel like it's being stretched out. And really that's one of my biggest problems with the show. There is not 6 episodes of content here. A rescue plot is repeated twice over 5 episodes. Characters are put into this show which add nothing who I don't care about. And Obi-Wan spends a lot of time of the series not doing much and being put on the back burner of his own show. I think within these 6 hours, there is a good 2 hours and a half movie in here about Obi-Wan coming out of hiding to rescue Leia, getting found by Vader, and then them facing off. and really focusing on their connection and history. I think a movie without the filler content would allow us to focus on what matters, Obi-Wan and Vader, and the same story could have been told quicker and more effectively. Ultimately, this show feels pointless. They failed to justify its existence because no one has major arcs here, and everyone has to end up where they ended up at the end of Revenge of the Sith to set up A New Hope. So I just finished the show feeling like they could have done more. Yes, Obi-Wan faces Anakin and it is effective, but he doesn't really have an arc here. He learns to be a bit more hopeful, I guess. The whole series just lacked that emotional connection that it needed because it spent so much time running around the galaxy saving Leia and not focusing on emotion or characters. Any emotion we do feel is because of the work done through Revenge of the Sith or A New Hope, and not due to anything established in this series. All the past films did the heavy lifting for the emotional scenes to work here. Nothing felt as powerful as the Revenge of the Sith's ending, or even when Ahsoka faced off against Anakin in Star Wars Rebels. That was essentially the same scene when Obi-Wan faced against Vader here. I also thought the music here was lacking. Star Wars is known for its iconic music, but this show was reluctant to use its Star Wars themes. How did we have Obi-Wan and Vader face off again and not get Duel of the Fates or Battle of the Heroes playing? It felt like such a waste. And when we do get past themes, like Obi-Wan's theme, Leia's theme, the Imperial March, or the Force theme, they're only played in the final concluding scenes of the series, rattled off like a best hits playlist. Star Wars music is so powerful because it normally emphasizes an emotional scene, but here it's just played over a few scenes wrapping up the series rather than in an emotional moment of the series itself. Again, they could have done more with the music to strengthen the emotional connection set in this series. My final criticism is that this series does some pretty heavy-handed setup for Qui-Gon Jinn to reappear. He's mentioned at least 3 times, so we know he's coming back at some point. But how? In the very final scene played off as a joke. What a waste. I thought he was going to appear in a very emotional, powerful moment. Maybe when Kenobi has lost all hope and he appears and gives some wisdom to Kenobi. Or he appears to Anakin and we get some understanding of how Qui-Gon feels that he was the one who wanted to train Anakin and he feels partly responsible for what's happened. His appearance could have been so interesting and again feels like a missed opportunity. But it's not all bad. Like I said, there is some good here, mainly Ewan McGregor. He's of course great, he's always been great in this role, and while they aren't always giving his character interesting things to do, he is awesome here. The return of Hayden Christensen is very welcome. It's great to see him return. I would have loved to have seen more of him, or I wish they didn't involve him so much in the marketing so that when he did appear, it would have been more of a surprise. We get a great flashback between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Yes, the de-aging for Anakin is not good, but the scene itself is effective and I think we needed more of this. This flashback is all that really established a connection between these characters in this series, and apart from this, it relies on the past movies for that emotional weight. And many people already think their relationship was underdeveloped in the past films, so this would have been an opportunity to really build up their brotherhood through different flashbacks. Really, I think every episode could have benefited from a flashback between the two, showing different moments across their lives to build a relationship and tie into where their characters are at now. It was great to get this moment, but they should have given us more. Any scene with Darth Vader was great. We really get to see how powerful he is now. We've never seen a Vader like this, and it's epic and scary and works so well. He steals every scene he's in, and the final fight between Vader and Kenobi is awesome. Although it's a bit dark, it's shot well and choreographed well, blending the faster lightsaber fights from the prequels with the slower fights of the originals, which makes sense since Vader is now a slow robot and Kenobi is older and out of practice. And for the first time, we see someone who can really go against Vader in a fight and survive. That was awesome. Normally Vader just wrecks everyone, so having him face a challenge looked great. And this scene is really the only emotional scene in the series. Seeing Anakin under the mask was done really well. Mixing Hayden Christensen's voice with James L. Jones was epic, and the sound editing there was perfect. It really connected the gap between Anakin from the prequels and Darth Vader from the originals and made them feel like the same character. That whole scene was great and ties into the originals and allows Kenobi to get some closure over the guilt he's felt. This is really where he gets that idea that Vader killed Anakin from a certain point of view. And I also love that he calls Vader Darth here.
Goodbye, Darth.
Lots of people have always questioned why Kenobi calls Vader Darth in A New Hope. It always felt a bit weird, but he says it here kind of sarcastically, so that's a great callback.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
And of course, if we're talking of iconic callback lines, we get our third.
Hello there.
Yes, it's a joke and they are aware of it. It's a bit out of place, but also I do just kind of love that they made him say it. Overall, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a mixed bag. When it focuses on Obi-Wan Kenobi himself and the relationship between him and Anakin, it can be very effective. I wish they'd done more of this. Instead, they focused on a lot of filler and plot lines I did not care about, filled with bad CGI, lazy writing and plot conveniences. Somewhere in there, I think it's a very effective 2-hour movie, bringing back fan favourite actors and focusing on the characters of Anakin and Obi-Wan. But it gets lost and overall makes the series feel pointless and fails to justify its own existence, wasting the potential of the return of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed this video. Fans seem really split on this series, so let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Did the show work for you or not? If you enjoyed this, please like the video, it helps the channel out loads, and be sure to subscribe because there's new videos every Friday. But for now, thanks for watching. Cinemaze.